Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am super excited to have Marissa Boucher of the Boudoir Divas from sunny San Diego. Marissa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm
You
excited to
bet.
be here.
Absolutely. Uh, you and Kimberly were huge, were early kind of adopters when it came to me starting Sticky Albums a couple years back,
Yeah.
and your support has been huge. I wasn't really sure if Boudoir would be a good fit for Sticky Albums
Yeah.
for custom mobile apps. And
Yeah.
with your support, and because I think we'll talk about why Sticky Albums is such a good fit for Boudoir and vice versa. It's become
hmm
our most popular niche. Like that, we have the
Oh, really? Oh,
most
great.
users on
That's awesome.
Sticky Albums are doing Boudoir, and it's been pretty amazing. So,
It is a
uh,
good fit,
yeah.
definitely.
So in today's show, everybody, we're going to talk marketing. We're going to learn a little bit more about how Marissa started the Boudoir Divas and some of their approaches to boudoir and why they've kind of pioneered this space in the last several years. It's just completely blown up. And we're also going to get some really tactical tips on how she's using Sticky Albums in her business and other marketing tactics that you can start applying today. So, Marissa, let's
Awesome.
start with you guys, you and Kimberly starting Boudoir Divas and kind of really being on the front edge of this incredible trend of boudoir.
Oh, thanks. That's quite the compliment. I appreciate that. It's amazing that we are where we are today. I'm blown away every day that I come to work and we just come to this awesome space and we have this team of girls that are just like our family now. And I think that's the biggest blessing for us is just kind of our team.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny because when we started the business, I don't think I even understood what boudoir was or even glamour. I mean, it wasn't like I want to be a boudoir photographer. It was just kind of like, hey, I love making women feel beautiful. Let's do this. We had a whole different name. It wasn't until we really got into it and wanted to say, okay, well, what is it that we're doing here that we discovered what boudoir was. And that's when we switched our name actually to the Boudoir Divas. So
Cool.
that was an exciting time. And yeah,
How
it's
far,
it's crazy.
how long ago was that when you just changed the name?
I believe it was 2006 or
Wow.
possibly seven. I should know the answer to
Got
that.
it.
But I've been shooting or photographing women since like 2000, the year 2000, I think. And so, yeah,
Very
that
cool.
that name switch was big for us.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
when you guys when did you decide to do a partnership? Because that's a unique situation also. There's some pros and cons to having a studio together with another photographer.
Yeah. I didn't want Kimberly as my competition. Are you kidding me? Jeez, I think I'd lose. No, that's not really why. That might be a small part of why. But
Right on.
no, Kimberly and I met on Craigslist actually in 2006. I was looking for somebody to help me edit all my wedding stuff so I could focus on boudoir even more. And when she came in, I realized I didn't have an employee. I had kind of like a partner. And together, she and I, our brains together, just do something great. She's my best friend. She's the best business partner, and she's the hardest worker I know. So it was a no-brainer. I mean, the partnership just kind of evolved,
Yeah.
and it worked. So it was
That
really
is so cool.
exciting.
So I want to pause there because I think there's so much juice in that. I talk a lot to a lot of times to other photographers about how you can grow, like how you start growing your business is already you've talked like fast forward to the present day, you've talked about how vital it is to have an amazing team around you.
Yeah,
Rewind back to 2006, how you finally made that decision. You know what? I'm not going to be able to focus on this new passion, this new thing I want to start, like make a name for ourselves with. I can't do it alone. I
yeah,
need help with somebody else on board just to do the editing for me. And
yeah,
lucky you kind of get strike jackpot with not only can she do your editing, but
yeah.
she turns
I
into
did.
like a business partner. That's pretty
hmm
awesome. So
Yeah, it is
what do you
awesome. And that
recommend? What do you recommend to somebody who's like just starting out and they don't? Bummer. Oh, you're breaking up a little bit. Nope, you're back. What do you recommend to somebody who's starting out and making that first leap to hiring an employee or even if it's just
yeah.
outsourcing editing or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest decisions for our business, and it was one of the hardest too, because literally we were saying, okay, I'm not going to pay myself for a while. I'm going to bring on somebody new and pay them and hope that I can kind of weather the storm and that I'll start to generate income from this other venture. So it's a risk. It was a calculated risk.
Hmm.
I also, didn't have kids, or I don't have kids, so I wasn't putting anybody else in jeopardy by doing that. My husband Weston at the time worked with me, so it wasn't like I could rely on his income. We were doing this together, so it was a risk, and it was scary, and it panned out. So what I recommend is as long as you're not putting your family in jeopardy, or maybe like you own a home and you're putting that in jeopardy, again, calculated risk is everything.
Hmm.
So, and I think it's about how much you trust yourself too. Like, are you willing to work 20 hours a day to make this happen? Can you really put in that time and
Hmm.
work efficiently? So I think it comes down to just how bad do you want it?
Hmm.
And if you want it that bad, you can make it happen, but you have to make some sacrifices along the way, and it's not easy. I'll
Yeah,
tell you that.
totally.
But when it pans out, man, is it nice.
That's so cool. Yeah, as I begin to grow the Sticky Albums team, I'm starting to feel some of that too, where
Mhm.
I think that fast forward to 2014, I think there's what's becoming increasingly common is contract work or like
Uh-huh.
project work, where
Yeah.
back in the early 2000s, you couldn't just hire somebody for like a little bit. Like they had a
Yeah.
job and you had to give them a full-time job.
Yes.
Um, and there's still some pros and cons. Like I think that now that I need to hire full-time staff, that's a
Hmm.
huge, scary, big thing. But I'm able to baby step into that by just saying, okay, the best way to interview you is to actually work together. Here's 500
Hmm.
bucks, do this project. And then we can
Hmm.
walk away from that if we want. But after that first project, oh, that worked out great. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. So we don't, nobody's, me
Yeah.
or that employee is taking on too much risk before we know it's a good fit.
I think
Oh,
that that's a great way to do that, by minimizing your risk, and then also knowing who you're hiring is so important. Like, it has to be a great fit, and that's a great way to be able to know if it's panning out and you want to keep going with it. I think that's brilliant.
cool. Well, let's go back to you guys noticing you're onto something, and were there moments when you guys sat back and go, "Holy cow, this glamour boudoir stuff is huge!" Like, when do you have
Yeah.
like a defining moment where you're like, "We have way more clients than we can shoot this week," or what? Like, what was it?
I think the defining moment was actually a long way before we had a lot of clients. It was when I lived in an area called Ramona, which is like in San Diego. It's known as kind of like the real outskirts. Like,
Hmm.
it's far from downtown San Diego. It's about 45 minutes to an hour. So when we had, and I was only like 22 at the time, had, professional women driving to my little crappy house in Ramona, taking pictures in my garage, and they were booking consistently. I think that that was the defining moment that I was like, oh my goodness, there's something here. And
Hmm.
it was really, really exciting. Really exciting.
That's so cool. So,
Hmm.
as you noticed that trend happening, you guys also, I think, started to shape that trend. So, what was your approach? As there's no right or wrong way to necessarily do boudoir, but you guys have a
Hmm.
very defined style. Did that
Hmm.
just kind of happen, or did you to really make some clear decisions early about the brand and the style of images you wanted
Yeah.
to take?
I don't know that I knew exactly what style we wanted to have, but I knew what we didn't want to have, and I
Yeah,
think that that was really helpful. We
yeah.
wanted something that didn't feel like a portrait studio. Like, we wanted it to look like they were almost in a music video or in a fashion magazine or something like that. So we were just always kind of trying to stay away from, backdrop stands and typical lights. We Some of the lights we were using were just from Home Depot or something, because we wanted it to not feel like a photography studio,
Hmm.
like a Main Street photography studio. We wanted it to feel like they were actually stepping into like a Hollywood set or something.
Right.
And I think even trying to do that in our garage when we were younger that really kind of shaped what we're even doing here now that we have a studio space. I mean, when you come into our studio and you walk upstairs, right now I'm in the natural light area, but if you walk upstairs, just the way it's set up, I think that most photographers come and they're like, this isn't a photography studio. Where's all your rolling stuff, and where's your background stands and things like that. So, yeah, I think just trying to just be different, I think has really shaped us. And always just watching. I watch so many music videos, and I get so many ideas from that. And so I think that would be it. Actually, I think I just put my finger on it. I think
That's
music
cool.
videos is what really got us.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
Now that you say that, I can definitely see that reflected in your work. That's awesome. That's a really cool.
Thanks.
I never would have thought that's where you get the inspiration from.
Yeah.
Okay, so now as you're growing, what were some of the? Did you guys have to sit down and focus on marketing like directly, or like what were your guys' approach to growing the business?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, marketing and branding was huge for us. When we were starting off, we really wanted to look like a bigger company than we were. And I think even today we still do that and try to pull that off from our website to just our overall general branding and just and the way our staff interacts with our clients. I mean, we're always trying to seem, like Coca-Cola big or something. And that was always a big part of our strategy from the beginning. But I think now what I'm learning is we used to put so many dollars into advertising, actually, and I mean, it's a huge part of our expenses, and it was. But it's interesting because I feel like things in the business world are really changing, and I'm talking to a lot of other business owners. Like, I have friends in different industries, and they're all saying the same thing. We're kind of at a point where what used to always work isn't really working as well anymore. So I think all of us are scrambling a little bit to figure out where did I put my money? Where do I put my time? And so, yeah, I would say the past 6 years, we focused heavy on advertising, any and every kind of marketing we could do. We had PR companies, things like that. Actually, this year we're pulling back on all of that and just trying to figure out what did we do at the very, very beginning with our client base, our referral base that really moved us forward, because that's really what in the very beginning, when we didn't have those advertising dollars, it was just word of mouth referrals. And so that's what we're really, really trying to focus on again, really paying attention to our clients, and after the shoot, making sure that we are staying in connection and communication with them, and we really are trying to equip them to be our cheerleaders. And that's one of the big reasons that we started using StickyAlbums, is because we've basically got a walking billboard, but we need to be able to have them have something on them all the time so that they can always, if it comes up in conversation, like, oh, you want to see my pictures? Here they are. Yeah. And I love it too, because we as boudoir photographers, we actually don't rely heavily on before and after pictures, which I know is pretty big in the boudoir world. And I completely see the need for it and why people like it, and I see why it helps their business. We just are a little wary of it because we, how do I say this? I would never want somebody to think like, oh, the Boudoir Divas made me beautiful, and so here I was where I wasn't beautiful, and here I am now where I look beautiful because of them. And so we just get a little scared posting that kind of stuff. However, with the StickyAlbums, I feel like when people are showing their boudoir images, they are basically showing a before and after, because they're standing there right there in their kind of like daily, daily look. Right, and then they're showing their glam look. And it's kind of like there's the before and after for us, and I love it because it takes away our need to have to constantly post that kind of thing. Right.
That's such a good, you said a lot of cool things there I want to pull apart. So we've all seen different videos. There's different campaigns about all of the different messages that are portrayed to women their entire lives about what it means to be beautiful. Exactly. And where do we draw that line with makeup and Photoshop? Because with Photoshop now, you can just, like there was this recent campaign I saw where they brought them in, and the reaction unanimously from these women, where they really went over the top and did it, like they hired the same Photoshop experts that do magazine covers,
Mm-hmm.
where they did everything, like the squishing tools and all,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all four women were just kind of grossed out. They're like,
Yeah.
that's not me. Like there's this, I don't even think that is, like, I want to
Yeah.
feel, I like my freckles. I feel beautiful with
Yeah.
my freckles, right?
Totally.
So it's an important line that you've got to be comfortable with and
Yeah.
know in your own business how far you want to go, so that people feel like you're revealing their beauty, not making them beautiful. That's pretty.
Absolutely. And that's what we part of our marketing is, and what we believe is, women are beautiful as they are.
Hmm.
All we're doing is creating an experience where they get glamorous. It's
Right.
not that we're making them beautiful. They are beautiful
Yeah.
already. It's
Right.
just we're just more of a fun experience for them to come in and kind of portray that sexy side of them.
Hmm.
Do they need to be walking around looking like that every day? Heck no.
Right.
It's just a fun experience, and they do feel a little bit more confident leaving, just kind of knowing, wow, I can look like the model on a magazine. And one thing that we're very firm about is we don't do a lot of Photoshop. We go in there and we soften skin,
Hmm.
maybe take out bruises or scratches, which everybody has, and then or maybe like blemishes, but we don't nip and tuck. Like
That's
we
so
just do
huge.
not. And
That's awesome.
and kind of sometimes we tick off some clients. It's very rare, but every
Hmm.
once in a while we'll kind of tick them off a little bit. But the last thing we want women to feel like is that they don't look like themselves in the
Right.
pictures.
Right.
And when you're showing like your hubby who you've been your whole your whole adult life or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
Me and my husband been together since I was like 15. It's like he knows what I look like in real life. Why would I go and liquefy these pictures of myself and then give them to him? It's silly, really. So
Exactly.
it's
Like that's so well put. And you're not putting these images on a magazine cover. They're not for the whole world to see. They're just for somebody really special and for
yeah,
themselves.
exactly.
That's a cool point. So I want to circle back to some of the things you talked about marketing,
Uh-huh.
and the importance of word of mouth. And I've heard some of the same sentiments you were saying. That's a lot of the old school, old things in marketing just aren't working anymore. And the biggest thing is, with the internet, you can track so much more. And with the old school, with print, with direct mailing campaigns, with all of these buying ads in different print magazines or print publications in your area, that helps with, it still, I think, makes a difference with brand awareness, but it's not enough to have somebody pick up the phone and call
Exactly.
you.
Yeah, that's
Like,
absolutely true.
what I found is the foundation of that is word of mouth. And then, so if you've got your customers going around promoting you, just sharing their experience, that's the foundation. And then if you're doing additional marketing on top of that, traditional marketing, whether it's print or direct mail, where it works is when they already have heard about you from a friend. Where they see this ad and they go, "Oh, that's right, Julie. She told me all about that." And it's just,
Yeah.
otherwise, if they just see just the ad all by
They're not
itself,
going to pick up the phone. Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
really isn't enough anymore. We're so bombarded with so many pleas for our attention that
Exactly.
it needs to start with word of mouth. So with that being said, what is your approach? Can you share a little bit more about how you guys plan to use sticky albums, and then what other
Yeah.
kinds of marketing do you think still is working for you guys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, like I said, we're going back to just how we developed the business originally and focusing on the referrals so much. With sticky albums, it's kind of the last thing we do, actually, and we just give it because we want them to have their pictures with them all the time. We already aren't afraid of digital. Digital's included in their package when they come in. Not a lot of digital images, but some, and then they typically add. So what we'll do is we have this whole process for our client, and after she picks up her book, because they also get books, their books and their images, their digital images, they go into what we kind of call our archive pile. And in our archive pile, that's when we're actually physically, archiving their file into storage, and also their digital images onto a different hard drive. But what's important about this process is we also send them a final survey that they can take anonymously, and we don't know they can be honest in it.
That's cool.
And then the last thing we do is we send them their sticky album. So I love this because at this point they think like, oh, everything's done, dang it, it's over. That was so fun. And then they still get another treat from us. And gosh, we've sent out so many sticky albums. And to be honest, not every client opens it and downloads it, but that's okay, because the ones that do, I would say about 50% do. The ones that do, I mean, you can look at their views and they've opened it like 100 times. And that's so exciting to know that they're showing probably all their girlfriends and stuff. So I love it. I love it.
Huge.
Yeah, so for us, it's a treat. It's kind of like an just the icing on the cake at the end, and it's huge for referrals. So they're sharing their stuff.
That's so cool. Do you have any favorites? I didn't ask you beforehand, but do you have any favorite kind of anecdotes of somebody coming in because they saw on one of your clients' sticky albums? I love hearing those stories.
You know, I'd have to think about that. I've heard it so much that I don't necessarily have like a favorite one.
That's a better answer. It happens too much. I can't remember one.
It happens a lot that her friend showed her. Well, they don't say sticky album. They say she showed me her pictures on her phone, and I know exactly what they're talking about. What I love is the stories aren't necessarily about clients coming back in, but the ones where wives or husbands that are deploying or husbands that travel. I love that they have it on their phone. I think that that's really cute, and that they can kind of always have pictures with them.
Totally. That's when I was in WPPI last year, that was like my favorite client. One of a sticky album client came up to me and she gives me this big hug, and she's almost crying already. She's like, I have to tell you a story. She said, deploying a serviceman can't bring any kind of prints like this with them at all. And he had come to the order session, and they're going through like planning out the print album and stuff like that. And then the big reveal, the big surprise is, oh, and here's an app for your phones. And she's like, I get to send this to him? And he's like, I had to have this on my phone? And they're all like hugging and crying together. Like, oh my God.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah,
that is so cool. I love hearing that. Yeah, I mean, we hear it a lot because there's, I mean, I think being in San Diego, it's such a big military community. So we hear stuff like that a lot.
That's so cool.
Very cool.
I feel that just makes me so happy that I'm helping them out with that. But I want to talk about a few of the reasons why I think, and we've heard why this is so successful with boudoir photographers. One of them is that clients don't really want to share this stuff on Facebook. They do, some of them do, but most of them want to share in person. And it's much more personal. And now they can stay in control of it because they've got it right there on their phone. And while the unique views that you can look at and track in sticky albums might not be that high, the total views are, where they're still like in the hundreds, because they're still showing on their own phone. So like they can take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, girls, I think that I think as girls, showing your friends these pictures has to be so fun and also so rewarding, because it's kind of like, A, oh my gosh, look at this crazy thing I did. Can you believe I did this? And then B, the friends are immediately going to be like, oh my goodness, you look amazing. And then they're going to ask questions about it. It's just a fun conversation starter. And I think, and yeah, girls with boudoir, they're showing all their friends. You're totally right. Are they putting them on Facebook? No, but they're talking about it.
Yeah.
They're having class showing them off. So,
and what I think is so great for you guys, for the photographers, is what are they talking about? Like, they're not just talking about the pictures, right? They're talking about the whole experience.
Exactly. And I'm sure that they're talking about what the photographer said and did and how she posed them and the outfits that they chose. And I just know that they're talking about whether it's me shooting or the other girls we have here. I know that they're actually personalizing it and talking about the photographer and using the photographer's name and everything. I mean, the experience here is you make a friend. I mean, every day we're making friends. And I know that they're out there talking about us and sharing what we do. And that's so exciting. I mean,
I think that cool. In all of marketing and sales and all of it, in relationships, it's all about trust, right? And when your client is going to be posing in their underwear, it takes trust to a whole nother level, right?
Exactly.
When your client is hiring a boudoir photographer, sometimes it's a surprise. It's very personal, and so that word of mouth referral, when they're getting referred from a friend, it almost becomes vital. That like
it's huge, especially for boudoir. Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I can't imagine just Googling a studio and just going, okay, well, I guess I'll take a shot at this and see what happens. No way. It's always word of mouth. But another thing with that too is that's been really helpful for us is all of our Yelp reviews. I mean, that's been great. I'm amazed at how many clients take time to actually write a review out for us. It's so kind of them, I feel like.
Yeah,
So.
let's wrap up with you guys are I think we've kind of answered it ironically. Is I wanted to say, like, for somebody who's just starting out, how do you recommend they use Sticky Albums in their business? And
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is even somebody with an established studio like yourselves, you guys are getting back to the basics also.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
go
I
ahead.
could see where maybe something we would have toyed around with in the past possibly would be actually including a sticky album in our bigger packages because I know people like the idea of having something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But with our packages and our products and everything, we try to keep things as simple as possible. And I really, really love the idea of every client getting this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like giving it out for free. So I probably wouldn't change my stance on that just because it's worked so well for us.
Cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's huge. It's a marketing tool first that's what it was designed to do, and all of the
yeah,
new features I'm adding are all about marketing.
hmm
You can do both. If people want to do both, increase sales and kind of use it as a product, you
hmm
can say that like the complete 30 image sticky album,
hmm
you can only get that if you
yeah,
buy the top package, right?
yeah.
But
I can
don't
see
get
that.
stuck there. So don't think that it can only be used for that. If
hmm
you, like you said, you want every single customer to have one because that's just how marketing works. It's
Yeah, exactly.
you need everybody to have it because some people aren't going to use it, some people aren't quite there yet, but
hmm
when it all pays off is when you get those one or two people that share it to everybody they know, right? So it's
Exactly.
playing that lottery. So
Yeah.
even if those people don't get your top print package, you can
hmm
still surprise them with like 10
Yes.
images. Like, oh,
That's a good
surprise, here you
point.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to give them as many as you had built into the package. That makes sense. That would work.
So that's one tip. And then finally, the timing issue with Boudoir and Glamour is unique also, where with anybody this works, it's a perfect kind of bridge to cover that gap when they're waiting for prints to come in or the print album.
Yes. Oh, that's true. That's a good
They get
point.
to run home and they got something to show off right away.
That's a really good point.
And because it's oftentimes a gift, whether it's for a
hmm
wedding or Valentine's Day or an anniversary, you
Uh-huh.
are always going to get those last minute clients that just don't understand it takes time to do
Yeah,
this stuff. And so we've heard a number of stories where boudoir photographers are able to extend their deadlines
that makes sense
and
because they're able
say,
to have something to show.
exactly, so we can still do the shoot because I can get you something you put on your phone by
Yeah.
your anniversary, but you're not going to get the book until a couple weeks.
That's brilliant. Actually, I hadn't thought about that. I mean, there you go. You gave me an idea too. I love
Awesome.
it.
I love that. I love when that happens.
Cool.
Well,
That's very
this has
cool.
just been a joy.
Oh, thanks for
I'm,
having me.
I love you guys' support for the community.
Oh,
Let's wrap up. I know you guys used to do much bigger workshops,
yeah.
and you're kind of transitioning. This is another theme I'm hearing in the business where people really like more intimate, both from an education, from the learner side, and
Yeah,
from the teacher. So, tell us
exactly.
some more about what you guys have coming up in the next year.
Yeah, so we used to do quite a few workshops. We would do anywhere from like 5 to 7 a year, and they were a little bit shorter. So they were about 2 days, and it was just me and Kimmy, classroom style, as well as some shooting,
Hmm.
a majority of the time. And we met so many great people, but I think where Kimmy and I felt a void was that we weren't actually being able to really get to know these people and spend
Hmm.
time with them and really talk to them. I mean, we had one-on-one consultations, but we really didn't get a chance to have true conversations about their business and what they were doing. And
Hmm.
so she and I just kind of decided it was time to revamp what we were doing with that. So we're doing something now called a boudoir retreat, and it's in San Diego, which is a vacation city, and so it's perfect. We rent a really gorgeous house on the beach. Or actually, this one's a couple blocks from the beach, and all the attendees stay there together, and it's about I think it's 3.5 or 4 days long. And Kimmy and I are at the house majority of the time, and we're just hanging out. It's forum style. It's not, I mean, she and I are going to be doing a lot of talking, a lot of teaching, but it's going to be way more interactive, and there's going to be a lot more information. And we're just going to have a chance to actually dialogue and really talk to people about what it is they want from what we're doing and what they're learning, and kind of really give them specific advice with their business. So
that is so huge.
And we're going to make lifelong friends, and it's going to be fun, and we're going to be by the ocean, and we're still going to come to the studio and do some shooting at the studio, but it's going to be pretty cool.
That is incredible. Well, you guys, man, I can't imagine a better place if you want to be serious about boudoir in your business. Would you recommend it for somebody who's just starting out?
Yes, it's for both. We recommend it for beginner to intermediate.
Got it.
I think it would still be helpful for advanced people.
Yep.
However, I feel more comfortable saying it's beginner to intermediate just in case, because typically that's who's at the workshop, and the majority of the people that are at the workshop kind of dictate the information that we give. So I think it's good to say it's that. We do have one more spot coming up. It's in April is our next. And there's one bed left.
And you guys are going to do this model again, so they should stay tuned.
We are.
I have my master's degree in education, and I used to do corporate training. I love partnering with photographers who are really good teachers and who stay as photographers also. Yeah. And the things I hear you saying are just like check.
Photography is our first love. I mean, we're not letting go of that. That's for sure.
That's so cool. And when it comes to teaching, it's not one size fits all, right? And it's so cool to hear you guys slowing down, giving your learners the exact attention they need. I can't imagine a better environment in which to really learn a ton of awesome information about the creative side as well as the business side.
Exactly. I feel like with our past workshops, they were wonderful, but at the same time, it was me and Kimmy doing most of the talking, and I think now this will give us the opportunity to do just as much listening and then be able to give feedback from that. So it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited about it.
That sounds like an awesome opportunity. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
As this workshop evolves, I want to keep going, but we've got to wrap up. We'll have to do another call on something more specific in the future. But thank you so much. This was just fantastic.
Thank you so much for asking me to do this. I've had a blast.
You bet. All right. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.